Councillor Russell Perrin, the leader of Harlow Council, what do you hope that people in Harlow, voters, think about when they go and vote tomorrow?
Well, I hope they think about the changes that we've put in, the positive changes that we've put in since we've come into administration in the last 18 months to 2 years. This town has been run by Labour for almost 10 years, and before that almost in its entire history since it was formed. So the Conservatives had very little opportunity to make positive changes in the town, and we've made them. So things like we've cut council tax in the first year we came into office, and people will have received upwards of £150 rebate. We've frozen council tax again this year to help with the cost of living, and we've done that without any detrimental impact on services. The green environment, when we came into office, it was no secret the town was looking shabby. A lot of work and effort has gone in with our partners at HCS to get the town looking shipshape. Still more work to be done, but you can really see it as you go around the town now. Hedges are trimmed, grass is being cut regularly, and we've instituted new working practices to help. We've also undertaken one of the biggest regeneration programs in this town's history. So when I first became leader, the council was one of the smallest landowners in the town centre. Now we're one of the largest, and we've put through huge plans now, and some of them will start to take effect almost immediately in the autumn. So we will see Acacia House being knocked down. The plans and the demolition contractors have been appointed now. We've seen the acquisition of Harvey Centre. We've seen the funding that we've got in to regenerate the bus station and all of the terminus there. So there's loads and loads going on in terms of that. In Staple Tile, we've got regeneration going on there on the Parnell Road site, and we've also got council houses being built en masse, and lots of them are due to come online in the autumn. So it's taking an awful lot. So I'd like people to think about those things when they go to the polling booth on Thursday.
Can you just establish something for me, and maybe I haven't been listening? With the Harvey Centre,
yes.
Have you bought that with the benefit of a loan, and is that a risk?
We've bought that with the benefit of a loan, part of the Towns Fund. There's been lots of risk analysis that's gone into that, and actually our figures were very, very conservatively projected. So we looked at worst case scenarios. If huge swathes it weren't rented out, would it still wipe its face in a way of speaking? And yes, it does. And that has enabled us to put an extra £500,000 a year into regeneration projects in the town. It's an absolutely fantastic opportunity. And as I always said, the risk was if we didn't get involved in the Harvey Centre, because it might have been left to some outside investment company that wasn't really invested in the town and was running the Harvey Centre down for its own ends. Whereas we can actually take control of that, and we're using that to boost the regeneration of the town and wider projects.
People may well vote on national issues, though, aren't they? They're concerned about the cost of living, mortgages being increased. They may reflect back on the November budgets, etc. From the Conservatives, you don't have a lot of control over that, though, do you?
Clearly not. What we do have a control, and I've always said, I've been consistent about this from day one. Locally is what I can control, and locally is what you will affect tomorrow. If you vote differently tomorrow, and you don't vote for us, you're voting for an opposition party that would raise taxes. That will have a direct impact on you tomorrow. You'll be voting for a party that over a decade allowed our natural environment to go sideways. You will be voting for a party that didn't invest in the town and missed countless opportunities to regenerate it. Those are the key things that you really need to focus on. And what we are is an administration that's gone beyond what people would actually assume us to control. So we're not responsible for the roads, and I'm going to hit it straight on because I know people will say, oh, the potholes. They aren't in the direct control of the district council, but we haven't just complained. We've actually worked with our colleagues at county. We've got an extra £9 million coming in from the county investing in our roads. We've got an extra £5 million from county, an extra £9 million from the government on top of what they already spend. And we have devised our own match funding scheme, which isn't widely known, which is actually dealing with potholes in the estates that don't meet the county criteria. And we've actually struck that deal, and actually you'll see potholes that people might conventionally think are so, but wouldn't normally get repaired, are getting repaired because of the work we've done to try and address that.
Just a couple more things, and trying to keep it to what you can control-ish. Wych Elm, when you got that news that they hope, that housing, the flats may have a plan for nearly close to 400 asylum seekers there. Did that show almost expose the lack of control? You know, people think the council have control over that, but you don't really. You know, these housing developments, and it could be a lot of the O's in the town centre. You don't have control, isn't it? That must be very frustrating. But that's life, isn't it?
That's life. There are loads of things that we don't control, but what we do control is how we act. And what we immediately did was getting the MP, the leader of the county council, the police fire crime commissioner and myself. We got together and we put together a case immediately to government and said, look, this wouldn't be the right place for it. And it wasn't about not in our backyard, but clearly putting that many people in an area that they are extremely vulnerable. There was no facilities, there was no healthcare provision for them, no educational resources for them, no extra resources of any sort. So it would have been bad for anyone that was living there already. It would have been bad for any immigrants that were coming in. But equally, we said this isn't fair to our existing residents. We've got a number of them on our waiting list, many thousands on our waiting list. We have a number that wanted to decant from Joseph Rank House. What do we say to those people? And we put that case very cogently to the government, and they listened, and because of the actions that we took, setting out a case that both protected the immigrants but also our local residents, the scheme was abolished, and so we moved forward. Had we have just protested and just not acted in a sensible way, it could have been very different. So the actions that we took in partnership with all of those other agencies brought about a positive resolution.
Again, this is a changing town, isn't it? And do you look at, you know, the different proposals with Harlow Gilston, Sumner's West, Latin Priory, Gildon Way? But what role do you have, agree or disagree, in making sure that these aren't just houses, these are communities that are a part of Harlow? Well,
absolutely, and that's one of the key differences, as you've wanted me to point out all along, between us and Labour. We had a joint agreement that there would be no development to south and west of Harlow. That agreement was torn up by Labour. They wanted to sell ransom strips which would have seen development to the south and west of Harlow. The moment I became leader, I reaffirmed that, and we moved a motion which said we are completely opposed to any development to south and west of Harlow, and that still stands today. And so Sumner's West, stop Sumner's West. As far as I'm concerned, we aren't going to sell any ransom strips to make that easy. What Epping do on their side of the fence, we can't control that, but we've made it very clear that we don't want any development to the south and west of Harlow. In terms of development to the north of Harlow, where we say you've got the infrastructure and you can make a village feel and actually build in the amenities and the infrastructure to support people, that's where we work with our partners at HGGT, which we lead, to make sure that it works best and it isn't just a load of houses, but they have the resources. And we're actually thinking about things like cycle paths, parks, playgrounds, all the things that you want in a town. Because we do need to recognise that we do have a growing population and people need places to live. But it's not a case of just put houses on any green wedge that you see. It needs to be thought about in a sustainable way that works both for the people that already live here, but for the people of the future that will need to come and live and work here.
I'm sure you hope to have a good night tomorrow night or Friday morning, whatever it is, but do you expect to have a good night in the ballots tomorrow night?
I certainly do. I mean, our teams have been out working constantly over the past month, and they campaign all year round and meeting residents, and our councillors are very proactive. We've not seen or heard anything on the doorstep that would give us any cause of concern. We don't take people's votes for granted. That's why we're always working, we're always listening. But let me be clear, you've got an administration currently locally that has not just said they care about the cost of living, they've actually cut council tax and actually addressed it. We're not just moaning about the fact that our town is in need of regeneration, we've actually got out there and we've started to regenerate it. And
there's a speed limit on this road.
There's a speed limit on this road. Yes. But we've actually got out and we've done the things that we think matter to people. We've not just moaned about the environment, we've got involved. And that's a tribute to everybody in the team. It's not just me, it's cabinet members, it's backbenchers. We've all worked together to get these things done, and there's more to come.
And you say more to come. Just to finish that there. So, if you are returned, etc., all things being equal, you have a plan. You know, you've got for future council, cabinet committees over the next year. You have a plan.
We have got a clear plan. We've set it out. We're driving forward with the regeneration agenda. In terms of the environment, we want to work on our climate change strategy, because we do recognise that the council needs to continue to reduce its carbon emissions, and we're already doing great work on that. We've got the community engagement strategy, and we've got our business resilience strategy, where we're working with local businesses to make sure we get the investment in the town to create the jobs of the future. We've got a lot going on, and we're also getting on top of the housing problem that we've got in the town by building more council homes, but also looking at the existing stock and saying, what do we need to improve it and bring it up to an even better standard than what we found it. I'm convinced we can do it, and if we get returned, we will continue to do so.